Welcome to Enlightened AF. I'm Tricia Carr.
And I am Aidan Demarest.
Oh, we are so excited to be here with you. Wow, it feels that was a long week.
This was a very long, it does feel like a long time since we've been here.
Well,
right?
It does to me at least. Well, we did.
And it happened again today.
What happened again today?
I got better looking.
Oh, shit.
Twice.
Which one is it?
For it.
You haven't done that
No,
shit before.
both of you fell for it.
Oh, Kurt fell for it too?
No, it's true, but you fell for it.
Okay, why is my mic not
It
working?
has been a while, it feels like. A lot has happened.
Yes, I got another new eyeball.
The bionic woman, Tricia Carr has arrived.
Another step closer to being Darth Vader.
Ah, Darth Vader. Why does he have?
All his shit was redone. That's why he wears the helmet and I started with the arm, and then I don't know, and then he was like
beverage
thrown in. I know. Quit crackling. I'm teaching
have to sit
this
still
person.
And stop crackling.
Yes, was like 6 years old. You know what? I think that it is.
See what the gods did to her? Wow.
All right, you do have to watch this live. You do have to watch this live so you can get all of the antics.
Now,
and what
who's
just
the
happened
one
there?
making weird noises?
I didn't do that. That's the microphone. The microphone cannot stay away from the ladies. I'm pointing to my breasts.
It's got a long reach, luckily.
I'm not just telling the people who are not watching the video what I'm talking about. I have to tell the people present what I'm pointing to, because otherwise it's not really clear. What does she have, a lung problem?
It has the mic has fallen into the hefty bosom of Tricia Carr.
Yes.
Yes.
The abundant
rack.
This is the thing about them, though, is that they're always perky because there's nothing to keep them down. Eternally,
they're like the celestial stars, far, far away.
Yeah, exactly.
Tiny little stars.
Except that they're right in front of you. It's weird. Enough about my breasts. Let's talk about yours, audience.
Everybody loves a good rack.
We are a new podcast.
Yes, we are.
This is
What's the name of it?
This Enlightened AF.
Yes, it is.
Accidentally said that with my Texas accent. Enlightened AF.
Enlightened AF.
No, I said enlightened. It drives me crazy.
How about some insurance too?
I'm always hiding that. This is a fake accent. This is my false face.
Hey, I'm from Boston.
I know.
So you know that the two of us would sound like a lot of problems. Or as like a vocal coach told me when I first moved here, that I sounded like a tin can getting kicked down an alley.
Oh, jeez.
That was his description of my melodic voice.
You had a pretty strong accent when you moved to California. When he says here, we are in
we're
Los
in Los
Angeles.
Angeles, yes. We are at the Sunset Gower Studios in Hollywood, California.
Whoa, look at him knowing where he is.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I thought since we're a new podcast.
It's written on the piece of paper.
The thing that let him in here.
And I'm Aidan Demarest.
And it says it all
They've
right there.
told me all the things I need to know.
Today. So this is actually our 11th episode.
What?
Yeah.
Get out of here.
Isn't that cool? So if you're listening
that is really amazing.
on iTunes or something of the like, we also have our episodes simulcasted and live broadcasted and video recorded. So you can join us live by following us on social media, and you can also watch the video version of this on YouTube by looking up Enlightened AF. Enlightened AF. What does the AF stand for?
I think I'm going to do I'm going to do a YouTube video about how to find it and like how to work the magic box in your home.
How to be younger than 49?
And it's not just about being young, it's about being tech savvy. That's an ageist comment.
Okay.
And you know me, I don't like the magic box.
No,
there's a whole thing.
No, you're right. There are people, because
it's exhausting.
I teach people. I'm a spiritual teacher, and a lot of people that want to actually take their spiritual practice to an online setting. And yeah, there are a lot of people who are in their late 20s that are my students, and they can't figure things out.
But
sometimes.
that is a jump. You're absolutely right. The jump between literally like 40 and 50. Or what is it? The Xennials? They're calling them now.
Yeah,
the
that's
Xennials.
bullshit. I don't believe in the
Are you a Xennial?
I think I am. I think I am.
And I'm not. I'm out of that window.
I'm
in the lost category.
No, you're Gen X. You're Gen X.
I'm X?
I think so.
I don't think so.
I think I'm Gen X.
Oh, we were Gen X?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Well,
we were
baby
Gen X.
boomers, Gen X, millennials.
Yes.
And so the generations are a bit deep.
Why do I have to be X when I'd rather be Xennial? That's a good one.
You're too
old. But that jump, the Xennial to Gen X, is where you lost us on the remotes and the all those things. I mean, like we played Pac-Man.
That's the only tech thing he could name. He goes
box,
the remotes, number one, and so on.
iPad things,
so on.
all of this
and the
stuff.
things.
What is happening with this thing? I can't even.
So we got lost, you're saying.
Anyway, we got lost. No, that was that 5-6 year window difference that like we can't work those items.
It's really
I need to hire someone full time just to turn my TV on.
It's really crazy though. It happens so exponentially fast that people who are even in their 20s or their early 30s, like people that are still between 25 and 32, it's still like they remember times when they didn't really, texting wasn't their primary thing.
Right.
And when they were in high school, they had a phone, but they didn't use it the way they use it now.
Yes.
So it's pretty kind of.
I know because I work in an environment where I work with a bunch of 20-somethings, right? But I have teenagers, right? And if my teenagers consider them, by the way, dinosaurs, the 25-year-olds.
Oh, yeah.
And they grab phones out of their hands and are like, let me fix your thing for you. And Una, who's 14, like ding, 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 and changes it. And like without really looking at it, while sort of shaming that person, she's like fixing, like especially social, like Instagram, Twitter stuff, linking that together, throwing a GIF and like a thing on.
Well, have her do yours. Come on.
She does all the time.
Okay,
right?
So
all the time.
Una, you need to promote Enlightened AF on Daddy's phone. But I do want to tell folks, besides the fact that Aidan doesn't know how to work the telephones, that
also I for a lot of years had people who handled that for me.
And yeah, I know. And so that's the other thing. It's also just like not having a real use for it. So people who are in their late 20s that I'm saying they don't know how to do things, they haven't had a use to go on Facebook Live. So that's why they don't really understand why and how and where do I
can do the main things because I'm actually fairly good at the phone, right? Like I can do all the main stuff, but if something goes wrong, we are just down a hole.
Forever.
Like that's it. Like if something goes wrong, or if I'm in settings and
everybody just go home.
Just party's over, right? Or if there's an update. If there's an update, like an iPhone update, just shut it down.
just throw it away and
get
a new
that
one.
Fucking piece out because it's dead to me.
But I want to I'm trying to tell everyone again our backstories.
Oh, we're here. Yeah.
We're here. Like,
and who we are.
Who is Aidan Demarest? Like, why are we doing this? Who are we? Since it's only our 11th episode and people are stumbling upon us.
The F are these people and why are they talking?
A short bit about it. So Aidan tell them about your background just a little bit. Imagine that some of our listeners, all 6 of them, have heard this story before. So we don't want to bore them too much.
I think I told my life story at the Starbucks across the street to more people than I'm telling right now.
Today before you
just
came
right
on.
now. I was like, hey, lady, where are you from?
Stop rattling the cup.
Okay, so I am, let's see, I moved here, I'm from Boston originally. Yeah. I moved here to be an actor when I was, 19? I grew up in Boston. My parents were, I'm Irish Catholic from Boston. I grew up right outside of Boston. I got here when I was 19, and I graduated from an illustrious soap opera school.
The illustrious one.
Yes, right. I hit all my marks and make all the...
How long is soap opera school?
It's a 9-month program.
Really?
Yes. It's where I lost that Boston accent.
Soap opera school is... That's how long nursing school is, too.
One eyebrow while making my point.
Do you hear nursing school is that long, too.
Nursing school?
Yes.
Well, that's far less important, don't you think?
Yeah.
I mean, saving a life, right?
All right. Somebody. So you went to the...
yes, and then I did commercials here.
Oh, no. Look at what he found. Is that you? That is delicious. Is that you or Corey Haim? Oh, it's so beautiful. See, this is why you have to watch the show.
And he did find... That's exactly the era, too. There it is.
Good work, Kurt. Good work, producer Kurt.
Right?
Love it.
Yes.
It seriously does look like Corey Haim from here.
All you had to have is really all you had to do is have chest and eyes at that point, and so that was pretty much the criteria.
That's why I didn't make it.
Chest and eyes.
I only had eyes.
You could throw eye and lose your shirt once a week. Anyway, yeah. So I failed miserably at soaps, but I did a lot of commercials for a lot of years, and I don't know, did all the things. I've been out here in LA for 30 years now. I'm 50 now. And I was 19 then, right? So all the beautiful things that happened.
You have 1 million kids.
I had 3 kids. I opened a bunch of bars. Like incrementally things happened.
And professionally, you were basically a party person.
Okay, yes.
Well, because you reference a lot like the
Yeah, where does that come from?
Crazy parties and drugs and stuff. But that's not currently what you do.
Yeah.
But I just thought I'd let folks know
Explain
that when he's
why.
talking about the reason I can laugh at it so much is not because he's, you know, like slamming. What is it? Slamming
Junk.
Okay.
Yeah,
yes.
black tar heroin.
Yeah, I don't know about that stuff.
Tricia.
Tonight, and so I can poke fun of it because he used to do it.
Oh, God, black tar heroin is such a good joke, isn't it?
I don't know.
No, you don't. Huh?
I told him last week that I've never seen cocaine in person. I've never seen the substance.
Can you imagine? From Texas?
Have you, Kurt? Have you seen cocaine in person? I have not, no. Okay, see.
You've never seen it?
He's never been in the same room with it physically.
Right now? And we're on Sunset and Gower.
Yeah.
No, you know what? This says a lot.
We're sweet. We're precious.
Fail. Basically, this is a fail. Well, when I was that guy at 19 moving to town, there was no one I knew who had not seen cocaine. But anyway, yeah, I did that stuff for a long time. So before, I guess, no, what's weird is that I got married and had kids, and then I became sort of America's favorite party boy for a couple of years.
Well, Los Angeles is.
Yeah.
American.
But I was super buttoned up. I had the kids, and I was like a young dad, and then like my wife and I had like three little kids, and we were kind of hippies and doing the thing, and then I stopped acting and stopped, it's like commercials dried up, and I started running bars and doing cocktails and I became a brand ambassador, bought a bar, and sort of stood on bar tops and partied all across the world for 10 years.
And but for the last 3 years, though.
But then I got sober, right? So then obviously that party came to a hard end.
But your sobriety is more than just sobriety, because people can kind of do a full stop at no longer drinking or no longer using. And I mean, yours turned into a profound healing journey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And I like to think, I think a lot of people do.
Of course. I would love to
a lot.
too.
Well,
but
not
you know,
always.
dry drunks, right?
Yes, and I had not drank years ago. But anyway, a part of my journey was obviously that I love to party, and I was in and out of it. And it was a hard wall. But what I got 3 years ago, it began this whole thing, and I began it even before I stopped drinking. I just immediately became clear that I wasn't going to be able to continue drinking and using. And
also being human flesh.
And being human flesh.
They weren't
I tried for a while, though.
Yeah.
Right? I moved up north and did I was trying to do weed and wine, and I was out in the desert wandering with mushrooms. I always made sure there was lots of hallucinogenics involved.
Oh, no.
But I got super celestial and super
yeah.
And I was doing yoga and riding a lot and feeling very transcendental.
And you almost transcended.
Fucked up all the time.
Exactly, you almost transcended.
I was like a Buddha / Arthur.
I don't know if people know Arthur. That I know what you're talking about.
The drunken guy.
Yeah, from the 80s.
Yeah, right? Or Keith Richards.
Dudley Moore
I was
played
sort
him.
of a Buddha Keith Richards, I guess, happening.
And so he's been on this really expedited, it's really powerful healing journey.
And I got super lucky with people I got, your guides. I was in touch with something amazing, and I have, I think, powerful angels that work with me.
Yeah.
And people I was surrounded with lunatics, and people came forward that were clear to me, that were positive and nothing during the journey of getting sober, and the hard facts of.
Sorry, that was me. I always yell.
Look who hasn't worked her mechanical device.
It is confirming my eyelash extension program. What's it called? Appointment. I'm so tired today.
Right.
I had my eyeball cut open yesterday.
Oh yeah, that's right. Bionic Woman is finally fixed.
Yes, I
have
can
we
see.
got all of the alloy in you and everything that we're going to do for this year?
It's pretty great.
Yeah.
It's really amazing.
Can you see clearly?
I can, and I actually keep getting these really powerful, short but powerful headaches because my brain is not used to taking in as much information as it is.
Is this going to get weird now that you're realizing how attractive I've been all these years?
Yeah, that's exactly what's happening.
Slow it down. Let me just tell you, I'm not okay with that.
Well, so there's a little bit about Aidan, and
yes,
so
that's enough.
That's enough. Okay,
I feel like that's enough. Then I got super zen and super happy.
Yeah, and about almost 4 years ago for me, I had sort of a spiritual awakening. And that's all it's been for me. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
That's kind of wild and
weird.
It's
weird that there's on a similar timeline.
Yeah, it is, right? I was just maybe 6 months, not even. You just had
3 years.
3 years. And so it's actually December 27th is sort of what I call that big opening, where something really powerful happened.
You became a big opening?
Yeah. So only 3 months, really.
I might have been at that party.
That's weird. You at the big opening. Me, mine has never been open.
What do you mean? Your what? Your mind? That's what I was talking about.
Yeah. And so, well, wait, actually, so
We're
I
gonna
should
have to have
say,
a guest come in and do cocaine.
no.
Why? I could handle
Because
it.
I don't want to see it.
I want you
can't.
now. I feel like that's a thing.
I don't
Is
want
that like
to
too Howard Stern?
we
need to have a guest come in. You two have never seen live
I
cocaine.
don't want to.
Well, I feel as though that's something I
am
need
not
to guide you.
interested.
First of all,
No.
I could take if you give me 5.
No.
If we go on break right now, I could score you.
I don't want any.
I think it's against the rules for me.
Here's the thing: is that my vibration has always been.
But that
dissonant
Denny's across the
to
street
it.
is a hotbed for drugs if you need it.
Well, that's probably why I repel it, because there's no way I would step into that Denny's, and it had nothing to do with me.
Always look for the
thinking
busboy with
cocaine.
good shoes on. That's the tip.
Don't be polluting the minds of.
Hey, I'm just saying, if you're not finding it astrally, corner of Sunset and Gower.
Well, that's one reason why I've never done drugs, is because I've always been white knuckling the 3D reality with my awareness. I'm always I'm barely hanging on to paying attention to you.
Oh, that goes to our thing.
Yeah.
Keep going. Keep going about your huge opening.
Well, that's all I wanted to say about that. So I'm an intuitive and medium. I'm a prophet for Gaia is something that I say that I do. I'm a teacher of nature and spirit.
And I'm married to a cool dude who's a bastard.
Yeah, he's like a bastard.
He's like a bastard. Is he home now doing CrossFit?
No, he's at the studio working. He's a composer.
Taking care of the cats?
He's a composer. He's working.
He's a nice guy.
He's a very nice guy. Right. So anyway, that's all. That's who we are. But I did want to say also, if you listen to the show live, you can call in 323-524-2599 and you can have a chit chat with us. Oh my gosh, it's amazing. Like the colors that I can see now. You guys, what I had was my lens replaced. I had cataracts. They call them young person's cataracts, not just because I'm basically a teenager, but just also the kind that they were. So I can see so many colors now. It's really weird.
I'm still trying to do a live video.
Well, our subject today, Aidan and I wanted to talk about, we entitled this episode, Introspection or Self-Obsession. Did you remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah?
No, I love that.
Yeah.
We have these really... I love that genius.
I think that's brilliant. Oh, yeah.
What genius came up with that?
Half you. Mm-hmm. Introspection or self-obsession. Because we were talking about, well, I had mentioned to Aidan that I've been in sort of a introspective or self-care, self-healing a little bit of a time. So like I don't actually watch the news anyway. So I may not even be have any awareness of what is going on just in the last week. So, social politically or something.
World Series is happening.
Yeah, I did. That actually
That's
bled
happening.
over into my reality. And
Sox and Dodgers.
And I care.
Both my hometowns.
The more you say it, the less I care. I was actually for a season in high school, I was a statistician on for the baseball team.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's that?
The person who takes down the stats.
Oh, okay.
With my BFF.
What'd you do? What do you mean, like measure the players?
No, not like like the RBIs and the those
see what I
the
know
only term
about
I can
baseball?
remember. Right, that's all I can remember.
I've like bartended plenty of games.
There's a bartender.
I never even know the
score. Yeah, they're so long.
But I am on board both teams. I'm from Boston, and I've lived in LA longer than I'm from Boston. So I have like a hometown spirit from my hometown for Boston, and then I'm stoked that I love the Dodgers too. So it's like this. I'm torn.
That's kind of like our topic. So
yes.
Introspection or self-obsession, or self-care or self-indulgence.
Yeah.
See, what I was saying, Aidan was pointing out that sometimes you see someone who might be saying that they're taking care of themselves, doing some self-care, and you kind of observe them from the outside, whether as either a critic or someone who loves them, as
right.
basically being complacent or indulgent or something like that, or even for yourself. Or you may have this, I think that we do have these cycles of needing some self-care, but we run lives that doesn't afford that.
I love that visual.
Unless it's, yeah, I love that.
Did he run it?
We're really, we have a really cool, that's the really cool little gift that a producer Kurt came up with.
Kurt killed it.
I'm saying.
Oh wait, that was the self-care cocoon or scared spider's web.
Yes.
Image that we came up with.
Right. Self-care cocoon.
Keep going. Yeah, self-care.
Or psychological spider web.
And don't you feel like this time of year in particular, we were talking about it because you were talking about, just having had this surgery and how sort of, I'm sure that whenever you're feeling sick or taking care of yourself, self-care.
Yeah.
Physically especially, but even emotionally, like you get into this sort of cocoon state and it can frequently then spin out to, and I see it a lot happening, and it happens with myself, into isolation.
Yeah.
which reminds me of a phrase that I hear all the time in program, which is like, if your mind is a neighborhood that you shouldn't be alone in, don't be. Like.
Well, yeah. So that mind that you're talking about would be one that is vibrating to disease. And so you might want a partner who can hold a higher space so that you can explore. But it's still important to go into it.
Absolutely. I think that, and we had just been discussing stuff that was going on in both our lives. And we have these great powwows every week, which actually are sort of like therapy sessions for me. And they're always based on sort of where we're at, but also we're always trying to figure out what's going on in the world and what we're picking up on.
We're trying to put something together for y'all, but it always has to do with where we orient.
Yeah. Totally, because it's like I don't feel like we want to have a long discussion. It's rarely about what's actually happening in the news because neither of us are very news savvy.
No,
and so I would hardly think it would be any. There's plenty of places where you could hear people pontificating about what's happening in the news right now.
No, the news is not helpful.
It's
Don't watch
I think it's totally helpful. I think lots of people gain a lot from it, especially if you work in politics or you work in law or you're a concerned citizen.
No, but see,
But do you think that there's anything you could be doing?
If you're a concerned citizen, then I'm fixing my hair. If you're a concerned citizen, then there are healthier outlets to receive news, and that would be like NPR. But anything that is MSNBC, CNN, or Fox, or any of the major networks, that is literally programming. It is owned by advertisers.
I know.
And so it is not helpful.
Having worked in the spirits world for a lot of years, I know we manipulated and controlled what stories were getting put into major publications through the advertising that we were doing for vodka brands and whiskey brands and whatever. And if I needed those stories to be about craft mixology because it was selling more booze for us, we made that story relevant and made it seem like there was an explosion going on that everybody was super into. And the only reason that those editorials happened on a week-to-week, day-to-day basis, which, in the places that I worked at and the brands I worked for got noticed, was because those advertisers put the squeeze on those editorials to make that happen. That happens just as much for Shell Oil and Ford. I could go on a whole
Coca-Cola.
hippie rant about that. But you must know that everything you watch on TV, every banner that's going on, we have no advertisers, so we'll say whatever the fuck we want.
Yeah, we have none.
But
yet.
Eventually, I'll be like, sure, buy some oil.
Buy some oil. Yeah, you're going to be holding a can of oil. Pennzoil or whatever.
NASCAR. Come on down. And you and me will be at the NASCAR races doing a spiritual chat.
Yeah.
Oh, I wish. Wouldn't that be awesome?
You're like, Tricia here is going to cross over all the dead bodies that made this oil.
Fossil fuels. Who are you
That's
feeling?
Good stuff. I like that.
I do too.
Write that down. That's a pitch.
Fossil fuels. That's a pitch to Shell.
I'm kidding. I don't mean to really. That's a pitch to Shell. The medium is going to cross over all the dead bodies that made the can of gasoline.
Gold. Anyway, to get back to, I don't know why we even try to get back. Why do we try to go back? We're always trying to get back to this thing that just doesn't matter.
No, but we always hit all the points. So we're talking about
the cocoon. No, the cocoon and the people, the isolation that people happen. But you touched on the part that I went on a sort of little rant about. I work in the public. I work with the public a lot. I consult on bars, so I'm in 1,000 people a week's faces all the time. And when I look at social media, when I look at any kind of news updates or any talk shows or anything, everyone's talking about the state of the world, the state of society right now, the state of humanity. And like, there's a lot of empathy and there's a lot of anger and empathy, more anger than empathy about what's going on in the world. And I can tell you, because I'm out there on the street and I'm not sitting in front of a computer or my television, I am face to face and I can see based on the Prius pulling up and the lady wearing all 100% cotton from a Whole Foods store, that I bet you she fancies herself a kind human who's eating vegan, and of course has like gluten allergy and all the things, right? Did I just describe you?
I don't have
Yeah.
I can't help it.
Yeah, right? But Tricia, I'm not describing, here's where the comparison ends, because then they come in and
I don't
are
have a
super
Prius.
mean and douchey to the waitress or the takeout guy or ball out the person at Starbucks. And I'm like, okay, #MeToo/ Go Sister, like wearing a vagina hat. And you just balled out the poor chick that works at the grocery store who has 6 kids and is working like an 80-hour shift because you couldn't find your banana chips. It's like super bogus. Anyway, that's my take on it, because I see it live day to day, and I live in Los Angeles, and I just see a lot of people showing up at rallies and stuff like that. But where's the humanity that's standing right in front of you?
But how did you tie that? You were talking about.
What the fuck are you talking about?
No, I know. But you were talking about, how did you tie that in? How did that inspire you from that whole introspection
the cocoon.
or self?
Well, the cocoon is that people are so into their technology.
Like they're being self-indulgent.
That they're being self-indulgent.
Gotcha.
And they're doing this thing. Like everybody's, I feel like, creating this barrier between them and the world because they're so angry and it's not anger, they're afraid.
Yeah.
And myself included. We're creating these barriers. Like the world is this big dangerous place and everyone's super hostile and mean or grabby or greedy, or the man. There's this entity, and it's either a lot of people have it as the current administration or big corporations or whatever it is, and it's like, what is this phantom of power universe thing that's happening?
Yeah, and the problem with that is that
you are a part of this system.
You're a part of the system, yes, of course, but the problem there is people feeling disconnected from themselves, that they've placed this
I think it has a lot to do with this like sort of self-care cocoon that everybody's got their going
on. You think?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're having a different look at the self-care cocoon. You think that they are sort of putting on blinders then, is what you're saying.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Using that. And then the terminology is, I'm just taking care of myself. I'm creating boundaries. I'm not letting people, take advantage of me. And that is walking around on the planet.
Well, and here's what's interesting is, I mean, you and I, we like to, with this show, look at sort of spirituality from two perspectives, because at least I'm deeply into it, I guess, as most people would consider, and then trying to see it also from the outside. And I see how there's this like extreme where people who would be critical of people like me, or if I could put myself in a box with others, and they would say, well, just pull up your pants and fucking stop having a pity party. You know what I mean? Like self-care is a pansy thing to do. On the other hand, people who in spirituality would look at on the opposite extreme. Of course, we're not talking about actual enlightened. We're talking about Enlightened AF. Well, on the inside of the spiritual side would look at those people and say, well, you're discompassionate and all that kind of stuff. The criticism.
That's what we're talking about. I think that's okay. There, you did get me to where I was trying to go, which is the balance, the seesaw.
I'm just here to serve you.
You really did. No, but that's where I think we ended up in our conversation today. But that's the balance. Just like creating the fun bubble episode we did. Like, how do you get to that place? When does it turn on you? Where you're meditating. Yeah. I had a day the other day where I got up, I took a day off. I didn't have the kids. I didn't have work. I had spent a ton of time in and I took the day off and I meditated, took a bike ride, did some stuff in my house, lit candles, talked to somebody that I love, talked to somebody that needed to be talked to, all those kind of things. And then about 5, 6 o'clock, I started to turn a little on myself.
You got mad.
Angry.
Angry at yourself?
Yeah, like it's just like the day thing. And that's where what I was talking about. Like my neighborhood, my mind is a neighborhood I should not walk through alone.
Wait, the person who needed to be talked to, that last person you mentioned, was it in that order? Did it happen after that?
Yeah.
You picked up a little energy off of them. You were trying to heal that person, and you let your empathic nature do something it's not supposed to do.
Yeah, there was a little bit of that. Yeah. There you go. And then I was pissed.
Yeah, you took on some of their thing.
Yeah. Okay, talk about that. I want to hear about that. How do you avoid that? How do you handle that?
Well, all of this, like you're talking about the balance as well, all of it is just asking for more and more awareness. So the moment, if you do that, it's all about being connected to the self and being connected to the all, connected to the ecosystem. So the way I look at it, the way I teach people is you think about a seed for a flower or something like that. And the seed is a hard shell on the outside, and on the inside is nothing, right? It's just energy, but it's information. There's like a code in there, and that information is constantly just reaching out to an ecosystem that is always answering it because the ecosystem needs it to be healthy as well. So being able to strike that balance, understanding and feeling the strength of your own seed information and the fact that it will always be answered by the ecosystem is kind of this way to strike balance. And we see it in nature. I mean, we all understand that's how nature works, but we forget that we are nature too.
Yeah.
And so it all asks for presence and it asks for awareness. So if you're speaking with that person, what happens with, if I may, sorry to interrupt you, but
no, go.
Because I do this, I've done this, it's a habit that I have to watch. When you have a habit that is you want to help someone and we kind of get frustrated maybe a little bit, or we want so much for them to be better than where they are. And so and so we don't actually keep present. We really want to skip ahead to where they're better. And that's not really any of our business. So what we're doing is we're becoming more conditional when we should just be there unconditionally and we should be supporting them. That is really the thing to do. And then they make their change.
Yeah.
So we reach in a little bit and we're reaching in, and we're like, let me, that's what we're doing with our energy space.
And that's been I mean, like when you talked about your journey and and coming out as a, what's
whatever,
the word?
I don't
Healer,
know.
empath.
Sure. Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
People won't have to, Reiki, witch, or whatever.
I don't do Reiki.
But when you talked about that, how much of that, how much do you find yourself safeguarding yourself towards other from other people?
Okay.
And how do you separate? Okay, there's the question. And how do you safeguard yourself from the moment I had, and yet not isolate yourself?
Well, I don't teach protection because I think that is defensive, and I think that's a weakened state. That's a weakened awareness. I teach fortification and discernment rather than judgment, And so if at the moment, if you're in whatever experience it is, if you're feeling dissonant with it, then you can either reach in and imbue yourself with some fortification, or you can remove yourself. Either thing is a strong, and it's fine.
What does that mean? Renew yourself with fortification.
Imbue.
Well,
that would mean
food, brownies.
No, your awareness. You know what I mean? Presence. Taking a moment maybe to check in with your emotion, your frequency, and your mind, and place your awareness on beliefs and perspectives that you want to experience. Like,
I guess what I'm looking for is what is the cheat? Like, how do you
am giving you the cheat.
What's the cheat? That doesn't feel like a cheat.
Okay.
That feels like a super involved situation.
It takes just a moment.
Remember,
it doesn't take any time.
I went to a 9-month university.
A 9-month soap school.
So I need the cliff notes on this.
Well,
wait. Imbue myself with.
It takes a moment. It takes a breath. It takes
and so in that moment, what do you say to yourself?
Well, whatever the experience. Okay, so then you want to talk about like the example
You're with a client. Let's say a work situation, or no, let's say a relative that is really has a lot of energy going on, right? That's not positive.
Toxic.
Yes, or exhausting, or sympathy, or just bouge. Where what's the 2-minute I'm gonna stay.
It doesn't have to be 2 minutes.
But how about the fact that, because you said the word present, which I like. Like you want to stay present because you don't just want to be like, that's the isolation that we're talking about. How do you stay present and not, go down in a ball of flames?
Well, it depends on.
Or kill them.
So, of course.
Smack them.
It's both. So taking a moment to take a breath and understand that I have my own experience and I don't need someone else to be something in order for me to have my experience. I don't need someone else to change in order for me to have my experience. I'm in charge of my experience. There's one moment of presence to allow your awareness to orient from. But then it could be that, okay, I'm not serving this person anymore and they're not serving me, so it's time to cut this time off. Both of those experiences are fine.
A spell
That is the spell.
I wanted no words.
You liked those words.
I liked those words. I want a spell like name, Sunday. So like, where's the 3-word Latin spell?
What does
that just makes all that disappear?
I
or
think
their
it
mouth
does.
zips up with like a zipper. And their arms are in a straitjacket.
Yeah.
And they get shuffled like on a wheeling chair out of the room.
Like an 80s witch comedy. Yeah.
Yes, that's what I was looking for. Thanks for nothing.
So
once again.
Yeah, and then helping, and then also understanding that we're meeting people where they are to be of support only, that we can't rescue someone, but we can support them.
Yes.
And looking for their light, looking for the good in what's happening rather than fixing them or finding, and that's really hard for men, and I'm sorry to be sexist, but it's a biological, anthropological tendency, and it's not every man and every woman. Yeah, because as our anthropological history would have the man be standing at the, protecting and looking out and just trying to figure out how to get babies fed, and the mom is, the woman is protecting the babies in the really small kind of, a nurturing experience. And again, it's not every man and every woman behaving that way, but it is our anthropological history, and so there are a lot of tendencies.
There's like a real moment, and I know that, and this is a guy versus girl thing, but I mean, I just went to I had my kids yesterday, the kids at the house, and like just coming in the door with a bunch of food. And I had to go to work. So it was like a perfect caveman moment where I came in the door with a bunch of food and dumped it and went back to work. And I clocked like what a huge sense of accomplishment that
You felt
gave
so
me.
great.
I felt like super,
And see,
I was
a
all
woman,
nose and dick.
Yeah, and a woman would be like, oh my God, I'm just leaving food and taking away my emotional support. What kind of day do they have?
No,
I have
job
to
done.
leave.
A guy, I was like, job done.
Yeah.
Goosh.
And again, we have such a hard time talking about our anthropological past or our biological tendencies. And I'm not saying that either gender any person is relegated to these traits, because of course we all have a lot masculine and feminine experiences in us at all times. But
absolutely,
biologically, that kind of stuff is fairly physically wired into us, and we can work with it, and we can transcend it, and we may have more or less of some or the other. But that's the truth.
I can say that, and I'm hardly the straightest dude ever.
Yeah, no, well, we're not sure what you are.
Fact.
Yeah, but the thing is, also physically,
I was just feeling it.
We evolve physically very slowly.
Yeah,
our
but I don't know if we'll ever evolve beyond that, and that's one of the tough things about this time too, is people trying to find their. Society-wise, men and women are definitely trying to even the playing field, and I think a lot of people disregard those basics.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Those like sort of things, and I know that from my work with you and with other. Whatever the hell we're calling your tribe of witches. Intuitive, where I've done some past life stuff and stuff like that. And I told you I've gotten into with you and other people, like with men and women, and I can feel the difference.
Your Cro-Magnon man.
Yeah, there's a real Cro-Magnon man in me, and
I'm not really sure what Cro-Magnon means. So
Cro-Magnon, it's a period. I think. Yeah. When the guys are just all nose and dick.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's how I described mine.
Yeah.
It's a great place to be, by the way. I hate that we gave up that era. I miss him.
You miss him.
Fuck the Belle Epoque. Just being Cro-Magnon is fucking epic. And this is from the biggest, and I love some fashion. But it was fun just being naked.
Yeah.
And smelling for
and
ass
hairy.
and fucking food.
Smelling for ass.
Smelling ass and food. That's all you need.
We were actually
I love
talking.
How we got to there.
Well, we were talking. You were mentioning
ching.
How at this season, right now we're in fall of
That's what I
2018.
want to talk about, past life regression and stuff like that.
Okay, let's.
Yeah, but go into the fall.
No, we were just talking about sense of smell, and that at this time you were saying that your sense of smell is really heightened this time of year. Is that what you were telling me?
But I think that's all. We're in Los Angeles, which is a desert and mostly hot as hell. So when there's no moisture in the air,
I was really hot today. Yeah.
Well, right. So there's no moisture. We're in the desert, and there's just not much smells. So you have a heightened sense of smell.
There are a lot of smells to me because we're also it's a stinky city.
Not really.
Not
as compared to New York or Chicago or anywhere else that has moisture in the air.
Yeah, I know why you're saying that.
Today I smelled exhaust. Like you can't even smell stuff like in LA because it's also freeze dried in the hot sun. And there's no moisture in the air. That moisture is what triggers your olfactory.
Oh, good Lord. I'm
because that's why everything tastes so delicious in New York and stuff like that. It's just an olfactory thing.
You think?
Yeah,
I don't
all
know.
Dried out here.
I feel really
Why we need
hyperstimulated.
spicy, high altitude food because we're up here.
Yeah. Like
liquor.
Agave, yeah.
Yeah.
Like
that same
Highland
principles
agave.
apply.
Well, I don't know. I've been here a long time, and I'm very sensitized. Have a very hypersensitive olfactory.
Same.
So today I had to have a follow-up.
Even after the buckets of cocaine I've snorted up that thing.
Well, yeah, because it may have scarred, but it may have healed back over.
It didn't seem to affect because I have a really good palate, and I was a judge for spirits and stuff for years.
Yeah, it probably just healed.
And I could smell it's very,
Today I was having a follow-up appointment for my eye surgery that I had yesterday, and my doctor. You have the little eyeglass machine. I already told Aidan the story. You're just pretending like you haven't heard it. and the doctor, she has to do, look really close. So she's probably that's 6 inches from me. And her body is, she's wheeled her seat up to me. And I'm sitting there and I was like, why does she smell like shit? She totally smelled like poo-poo.
It's the worst story. Nobody's going to like this story.
No, it's funny, I think.
It's not.
Nobody, okay. You guys call and tell us if you like this story.
Oh.
Listen, and I was so confused, though, because then
tell us first of all, here's what all I could think is, if you've had little kids, you're like, how many times?
But I haven't told you. You gave away my punchline. So anyway, energetically, though, I'm very empathic, energetic, intuitive. And so I was like, wait, she's not a dirty, she's a hygienic person. I could clock how hygienic she was, and it was really confusing. And then I sniffed in a little bit further, and I felt in a little bit further, not deeply like I was getting in her business. Her business was in my business, and I was like, oh, it's baby poop. She's a mom. And it wasn't like she hadn't cleaned her hands.
You said she smelled like shit.
She did. She really did. But I could smell that it was a baby thing. It was a baby poop thing. And it was like a little bit of a wet nap. And it wasn't that she wasn't clean. I just think that when you have babies, it's almost impossible to get.
Was it with a wet baby diaper?
Sweating baby poop, I think, right?
And I'm sure I have smelled like that. But what a bummer. You just hope to God
I didn't tell her. Of course I'm not going to tell her.
Of course not. But oh man, imagine just being like, oh, I smell like shit.
Maybe I should have told her. Told her.
I remember we had dogs.
You can't do anything about it, I think.
Everybody's got this. Anybody who has kids. I had three kids, but 2 in a row right away. And I really didn't change many diapers, as my ex-wife would attest, after the first one. But I changed a lot the first one. And we had a dog, so I always had handfuls of shit, and I had him alone for a couple of years. I always had handfuls of shit all day. And then I bartended all night. So I was just ass to elbow in shit all the time. Just drunken assholes all night.
Cheers, you guys.
Yeah,
are you all gonna go out and have a cocktail?
I remember
you sit down at the bar next time and say, wait, are you a dog owner or a father or mother? Because if you are, I want that one over there who's single and has no animals.
Yeah. And auditioning up and down this boulevard, with the baby in the seat, changing his diaper, real quick on the sidewalk and things, trying to figure out where to put that time bomb. Ugh, bags of hot shit from the dog. I just feel I could never handle shit again and be happy.
Yeah, well, I have acquaintances or friends or whatever who are former nurses, and I remember asking one of my friends, so why did you leave nursing? And she's like, because I got tired of being covered in piss, shit, puke, and blood. Yeah. Is that a good enough reason? And she was from New York. She's a little bit.
I've been to that party.
Assertive. You've been to that party. You've been to that party. You've hosted that party. You've been the guest of honor. You've been the bartender, the stripper.
True story.
Of that party. You
Carpe motherfucking diem.
You have been the. You've owned a production company whose only gig was that party. And you've been.
That's all true.
And you've also been the narc on that party. You've been the crasher of that party, and you've called the police of that party.
True story. True story.
All of that.
I was like, ting, ting, ting. I don't know how you can know some of those things, but that's cool.
I witnessed it.
You're assuming some of them?
I witnessed it. I always left that party early. I left that party at 10:30 before it was happening.
What we didn't get into is peripherally, as professional acquaintances, really, right? Acquaintances and who were.
Thanks a lot. We're acquaintances.
Well, we were professional acquaintances for a lot of years. We worked together in and out, but I was a partier and Tricia wasn't.
No.
So we were friends, but I was always out of my mind. And
I was always grumpy by 9:30.
And I did. I loved her always, but she was. Sober. I didn't know really at what point she arrived or left. So I thought she was always there. And so I would be like, you remember when we, that night I got arrested twice in Mexico. God damn, federales. Like, who
I
knew?
don't have the same experience as other people do. I don't get drunk and then
go to Mexico,
feel great. We did. We almost died.
Zero recollection of you being there. I saw pictures, though.
We went to Oaxaca.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. It was awesome.
That was fun. I bet you my awesome is not why you think it was awesome.
No, it wasn't. It was just beautiful. I loved the nature part of it.
No? Yeah, right? Did you go to that whorehouse thing?
No.
No.
No, I've never been to a whorehouse.
Good times. Yeah, you have.
I have not.
You just didn't know it.
You mean when I went
One of the mezcalerias was in one.
That's
the place we had the sampling.
So apparently I've been to a whorehouse. But there were no whores there.
Untrue as well.
Sorry. Sex professionals.
They prefer to be called whores.
Intercourse professionals.
I'm kidding. It was not a whorehouse.
Okay, well, let's
see.
Anyway. What have we covered our topic? So basically...
I think we have. People are climbing as fast as they can back into a cocoon now.
Well, I did want to say, I wanted to encourage people that you are the governor of your experience. And if your life, your job, I mean, we have holidays and everything, but you don't always necessarily need self-care only at December 25th.
True
and
story.
It's better to be in touch with what you really need on the inside rather than ignoring it until you get physically sick. And then and then your body forces you to slow down. I mean, that's what happens. If we ignore our energy or our emotional body, then it will just need to off-gas that energy that wanted to be looked at. And it happens on the physical plane. That's why we get sick and stuff. Because that's our immune system. Even doctors will say the immune system is compromised by stress.
And don't
That's
you
just
think,
what they call it.
Yeah. And I think that's something that you've helped me a lot with and that I have discovered as a part of this journey is that focusing on, in other words, if your self-care is about stopping doing destructive things, you're putting a lot of energy towards, I think, a big part of my journey in recovery, but also in self-care and having to still have a full life with kids and a job and all the things, was that I'm focusing on how hectic and crazy the world was, and I'm not going to deal with that. And I think so. You are dealing with it. You're empowering it. So, like your relationship that's so difficult. So I'm going to step away from that. And I think now you aren't stepping away from it. You're in it in an isolatory way. So now you're in that what I was talking about. You're in that bad neighborhood. You're not inside of a cocoon where you're like, I'm hoping that the world is a beautiful, safe, abundant place. My relationship, I love this person. My family are people who love me. Instead of being like, I'm backing away from the craziness, which I see, that was with the dichotomy I was talking about.
Well, yeah,
I
because
see a lot of people in that state of mind.
Well, what they're doing,
which is
you're right.
energizing, crazy.
Because
sad,
they're judging
mad,
and resisting. And it's so true.
Yeah.
Actually, it's so funny. I was talking with a group of my witch girls, and because one was saying,
definitely want to go to
there's
that
a
party.
ghost in my work building, and what am I supposed to do about it? And we were all talking about it. I was like, well, you ignore it. Not only do you ignore it, you just call in the light. But if you don't negotiate with ghosts, that's what the name of this episode should be.
And
you don't negotiate with ghosts.
We're in October, so everything sort of spiritual feels super good because it's like candy cone and.
Actually, you know what? Next week. Let's talk about our next episode.
Please.
Halloween. Yeah, I'm gonna talk about the 4D experience.
We're doing our next show on Halloween.
We are. I know.
We have got to have. Okay, here's the thing. I'm going to get somebody to do cocaine on this table.
No, are you going to dress like
you're going to get an actual witch?
You're going to dress like a slutty French maid?
Maybe I'll dress like a slutty
French maid
witch.
All right. Well, I think our time is up. Do follow us on social media at Enlightened AF Pod, and we'll be back next week, which is Halloween 2018. And you can also you can come and watch us live on Facebook and ubnradio.com channel.
Maybe I'll wear a costume.
Yeah, you should. Yeah. Come as a person.
By the way, Hollywood Boulevard, we are on Hollywood Boulevard, and there's a massive parade that happens.
Sunset.
And this street's shut down. Oh, that street's shut down.
It's really close to Hollywood, though.
Right. So how are we getting here that day? I need a helicopter. Can you make that happen?
Yeah, that's going to be creepy. All right, we are out of time, and so we will find us on social media at Enlightened AF Pod and on YouTube, and we'll see you next week. Thanks for tuning in.
Bye, guys.
Love you.